Okay, let's go ahead and make a recipe for our leggings. So for the leggings, let me see. I think I'm going to do, okay, we have two choices. Okay, for our recipe for the boots, we can do black. Okay, we can do black. And a second coat of black does get a tiny bit darker. And I'll tell you what, for the boots, we are for sure doing black. So this is going to be my recipe, I think, recipe for the leggings. And boots. And if I go that dark on the leggings, what that means is I'm going to come in with a white colored pencil and bring it back, okay? Because her leggings are a little lighter than her shoes. So maybe my recipe is going to be black with white on top of it. Alternately, what you could do is go for a gray and add black on top. Okay, either way will get you there. You can really approach it either way. I think I'm gonna go with this one. Now for the boots, we're gonna go black, black, black. And I don't know if it's showing up on camera, but the black colored pencil pops it even darker. And what I'm gonna do for those is get my trusty gel pen, and that's going to give me my highlights. I mean, come on, how fun is that? I might do a little bit of white highlight too, because some of the highlights are not quite as bright. Okay, so that's my boots. I got my recipe, so let's do it. For the leggings, I'm going to go ahead in here, and you know, if you're nervous about the chisel tip, you can do this. You can fill it in first with a fine point, okay, and then you can fill it in with the chisel tip after that. So I'll do the leggings first, and then I will do the boots. Let me just do one side. We'll see how much time it takes. Now, this is the part two where everybody's like, well, how do you make it look like it's underneath the feathers? Guys, just look at what you're seeing. Look at what you're seeing. You just see black sweeping up in between these little feathers. So that's all I'm going to do here. I'm just going to sweep it up in between the little feathers. Make sure you leave enough of the feathers that it looks like they're going right over it, okay? And if it feels a little too harsh, don't worry. Just take your black colored pencil and you can soften that up really nicely, okay? All right, let's take I'm gonna keep my black just a little longer. I wanna darken it up a little bit right where I can see a shadow on her leg, where the skirt is casting a shadow on her. I'm gonna take my white, I'm gonna lighten up this part here. White Prismacolors are magic, you guys. Like, there is nothing quite like the feeling of laying down a bright highlight on a dark color with a white Prismacolor. Okay, now for the boots, let me go ahead and fill this in. I'm going to outline it. There's a tiny little zipper pull right there. Oops, which I didn't quite get right, but oh well, not gonna stress. Come on down here. Here's the toe of the boot, and just fill that thing in. Okay, nice and dark. And I'm going to do a second coat because it is really, really dark. Now, while that's drying, I'm going to come in with a brown because I need to put a little bit, whoops, that's too light. Let me find a better brown. I need to put the sole of the shoe on here. I think that one's fine. Okay, here's the sole of the shoe. And we can put some brown on that. So maybe this is going to be the sole of the shoe. Okay, it's that brown marker with a little bit of darker brown in the middle. And I see a little white highlight right there. Okay, so we could really take your time if you want to with that part of the boot. Okay, now this is pretty much dry. Once it's dry, I'm going to come back in with first my white Prismacolor and see if I can get those little highlights. This one, and then that. Okay, and then there's a spot. Let me see what am I seeing here? I'm seeing a rectangular shape right there, and as I'm looking closer at this, I'm actually seeing some other grayish shadows right along, and then there's a dot and a dot. Okay, now let's take our gel pen and let's really bring it to life. It's so fun to just do those little things. And guys, it looks like a shiny shoe. It's like the most satisfying thing ever. I hope as you're doing this, you're really having fun. If you don't have a gel pen, guys, get a paint pen or a gel pen. I just got these on Amazon. They were inexpensive for a set, and I like the extra fine ones. You can use those jelly roll pens, but they do tend to clog, so just be careful putting those over the waxy colored pencils. Okay, that did not take that long, and I'm super satisfied with it, and I'll do her other leg. Let's see, maybe I'm gonna keep it moving for our demos here. So let's go up, let's work on her jacket. We're gonna make our recipe. For this jacket, I'm going to find a gray. You got two choices again, okay? Well, you got a lot of choices. The way I'm feeling it right now is I'm thinking I'm gonna make my recipe with a pretty dark gray. Okay, and a second coat of that gray will make it even darker. And then, trying to see what you guys see. The camera is being held by something that blocks my view at times, so it makes it a little tricky. Okay, so then I can go with black on top, and I can bring back white for some of those furry highlights, which is really fun and makes the fur pretty effective when I do that. Okay, so here's my recipe. 1 marker, 2 pencils. And again, we're able to get the job done with just 1 marker and 2 pencils. So this will be her jacket. Alternately, you could do it in black. Okay, you could do it in black and use a lot of white to bring it back the same way we did with the leggings. That's fine. You could do it in a lighter gray, but then you're going to be spending a lot more time shading on top of it. Okay, so I'm going to recommend that we do a mid to dark gray, whatever you have in your set of pens, and add black and add white. Okay, so we're going to go section by section because the challenge with dark parts of the garment is that you won't be able to see your pencil lines after you go over them sometimes. Okay, and let me see if I need to be looking at my reference photo, try to get my shapes right. Okay, here's a sleeve. Fill it in. Okay. Now, you're going to get to a point like this where you're just like, holy crap, I just ruined it. Because some colors really streak. Please don't panic. You're going to be okay. Okay? And remember, we're learning. You cannot learn to do something new unless you try it. And things are going to go wrong sometimes, and you're going to learn from it. Okay, so just remember when you feel a little bit overwhelmed, a little bit frustrated maybe, hopefully you're just having fun. But if you're starting to feel a little bit overwhelmed, a little bit frustrated, just remember we're practicing. You've never used these markers before. These markers definitely have a learning curve. So I did what I needed to do with the marker. I'm going to put it aside, and I'm now going to go over it with a colored pencil. Now, you need to make sure that the gray you picked was dark enough that you don't have to spend all day here shading with black colored pencil, because that defeats the purpose. The reason we love markers is because it gives us a nice wash of color quickly so that then you can come in and just hit the highlights, hit the shadows, and be done. That's why we love markers, is they do most of the work for us, and they leave us with very little else that we actually have to come in and do. And if you feel like you're having to spend a lot of time going over it, it might be that your marker color underneath was not as dark as maybe it needed to be. Okay, here I go, just giving myself a little bit of texture along the side, and I can do a little bit of my dippy dots, my little scratchy marks to give it a little bit more fur vibe. I can also come in the highlight areas with a really sharp pencil, and you can hit it a little bit with just some little kind of dot sort of fur marks and suggest that we've got fur right here. Okay, so for the jacket, I recommend just work your way section by section so you don't get overwhelmed. I'm going to do, let me go ahead and do some more here. I'll go ahead and get this part of her collar. And it's darker here, so I'll second coat right there. Okay, and I'll go ahead and do the entire front of the jacket. Watch how fast this is. Chisel tip, boom, fill it in. Just try to make your strokes go in the direction of any texture or any creases so that it, if you do get a streak, which you will, if you do get a streak, you can kind of use it to your advantage. Like I'm gonna fill this area in here because that's gonna be shadowy down here, and then second coat there, and we can do really even more up here. And let me get another coat there. Okay, you're gonna get to a point where you're just like, oh my God, I messed it up. Trust me, it's gonna happen several times throughout this process. And that's why I wanna do this with you guys, because I want you to push past that so that you get more and more experience realizing that when it seems like it went wrong, that's not actually what happened. Instead, you were just working through an awkward phase of the drawing, and you've gotta just push past, add in the details, add in the highlights, and I think you'll be really surprised to see what happens. But I think people stop too soon, especially before they put all the shading in that they need. Okay, let me get this area right here really dark. I'm pressing quite hard with my pen, with my pencil. There's a crease right there, and I can come in and get my shoulder, see what's going on with this area, and then over here, this is, and then she's got a bright highlight right on the edge of it. So I'm gonna leave that alone. Let me get this just a little bit with black, but what I wanna do right there is sharpen my white and add a little white to this area. If you look at the reference photo, you'll see that that fur is really catching the light right there, right here, and right down her front. And it looks really good when you can catch the light with a white pencil over a dark area. I'm actually feeling like I didn't go dark enough here to let that white really pop. Okay. Alrighty, I'll probably come back and do a little bit more on that part of the jacket, but let me just move on because I'm not super happy with that. But at the same time, I'm looking at the reference photo and I'm not really seeing much there. So if this is all kind of similar, then maybe that's what it needs to be. Okay, let me come and do the other arm. I'm at 12 minutes. I'll do one more section here so that you guys I don't like leaving. Oh, it was black. I got black. Oh no. Oh no. Oh well, that's okay. We'll just let it be black. So I meant to use this gray right there, but I was talking instead of drawing. Okay, so we'll fill in this area, get that area. And this, I'm kind of excited to do this because what I really want is for there to be some dark next to that light area. And then she's gonna have another light area, and then this is dark, and then it gets a little light right there. And then we have another area here, and then we get to her sleeve. Okay. So black colored pencil is up next, and I'm going to go ahead and get this area dark so that I can pop that, and then so that I can come up next to it over here and pop this other little side of the zipper placket. And we're going to get nice and dark right in here and shade my way out. Okay, I do think I could have gone with a darker marker color and saved myself having to draw so much with the black. But at the same time, I like that I'm handling this section differently from the leggings and the boots. One, because it gives us more practice doing different things. And two, because it just sets apart this part of the garment, part of the outfit from the other. Okay. And I think you guys probably get the idea here. What else do I want to do? A little bit of white. Where's my white? A little bit of white. And a little bit of white right here. Especially because, oh, and look, you know what happened? That black pen that I put there, well, guess what? If I put some white on top, now my white fur marks really pop, and that actually can kind of work to my advantage, so it's all good. Okay, let me switch to the next video, and I'm going to go ahead and do her face and her hair, and we'll see how much time I have if I want to keep going with that part, but I think it's working. I think it's all coming together here.